Hi there, welcome to Bible and Beats, a YouTube channel that's going to try and explain controversial topics that have been debated by Christians for years. It's going to be quite simple, it's going to be easy to understand, you don't have to be a Christian to understand it. It's just people have been going up to me in school and in public and saying, hey, I don't understand this, why doesn't this make sense, what the blazes are you on about? And so, if there are a lot of you out there, hopefully this will help understand. And help you understand. Right, so creation. New YouTube channel, new year, new everything. Might as well start with creation. Let's do it poetically speaking, it just makes sense. So everyone knows about it. 7 days, God creates the world. We're all better off for it. I've got my Bible down here to try and not commit any blasphemies and try and not get a bolt of lightning sent at my head. But you never know. By the end of this video, I could have died twice. Anyway. So a whole lot of people get confused by this. It's got some pretty complex stuff in here if you don't have someone to explain it. It's mainly because of the timings. A lot of the big problems come between verse 1 and verse 14. So if you want to find it in the Bible, it's Genesis 1 from verses 1 to 20. Always forget this bit. 27. So in those short 27 verses, we've got the entire creation of the universe, stuff which scientists like Brian Cox and Stephen Hawking have printed books on. We can do it in 27 verses. So, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was formless and empty, darkness was over the surface, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. Pretty simple enough. You've got a world, it's coated in water, and God's there. People say, hey, how is this possible? The earth took 230 million years to make. How could God have just done it like that? Now, two kind of schemes of thought. It's between kind of the traditionalists and the kind of modernists. You don't call them that, it's not true, and you can't really fit people into one category. But the traditional view was 7 periods, 24 hours each. God could do it because he's God and science is always wrong. Death to Albert Einstein. The other view is kind of more metaphorically. A day isn't a day, it's just a period of time to help us understand. But when it comes to the actual creation of the earth, neither of them really matter because it says, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. It doesn't give a set time period. That could be 230 million years, it could be 230 seconds, it could be in the time it takes him to make a sandwich. Either way, we believe that the earth itself was kind of like a formless, kind of a blob, for lack of a better word. It was just there, ready to be shaped, ready to be created, ready to be added to. Then we get to verse 3. God said, let there be light, and there was light. God saw the light was good, and separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and darkness night. This is where almost everyone has a go. Because if you look later in verse 14, let there be lights in the expanse of the sky to separate the darkness from the night. And he created the sun and the moon. So, sun and moon created on the 4th day. 4th day. And light would create on the 1st day. How does that work? You've got 3 kind of trains of thought here. One of them, the kind of, traditional view, the sun was being made. So at that point there was a little bit of light, but then by the time of the 4th day it was fully there and ready to, be a sun. Which that also matches with science, because in science terms, the sun takes time to form, it goes in, expands, and in that period the sun is formed. It will become small at first, giving off little bits of light, then it will slowly, steadily grow bigger until it becomes the sun. That's what I personally believe because it makes sense and it matches with the science, which I'm kind of interested in. The other one, it was just background light. So, in the Big Bang, there was light being made, a brilliant flashing explosion, and that light was what constituted a day and night. This doesn't really make sense because how can the light go away and come back again? But again, some people don't have a problem with it. and someone could probably explain it a lot better than I could. Either way, that's another theory. The other one is to do with the Greek writing. In the Greek writing, the word isn't necessarily create, but appear. Appear and create. Well, when we see it, we see the word appear. Something's appearing, it's made. Woohoo! You can actually see it. That doesn't necessarily mean create. And to some people, it would be the light has appeared, but not the sun hasn't been created. If that makes sense. If it doesn't, just let me know and I'll try and explain it using words and more time. Anyway, so those are the three kind of ways it would work. Then you get number 6. Let there be an expanse between the waters, separate water from water. You get sky, you get sea. Not that hard. If you again have a problem with it, let me know. But personally, I don't think there's much problem with that. Then let the water gather in one place and the dry ground gather in the other. Again, massive problems. Where Earth was all water, then it became land. Again, the 230 million year argument could be done with this is just a period of time instead of an actual day. But to some Christians, they say, no, this is a 24-hour period. God is amazing. He could have done it in time. Whilst God is amazing and he could have done it in time, I personally think it makes more sense for it to be 230 million years. God is outside of time. That has been proven. Well, proven in the Bible. And this being outside of time means that 230 million years could be just a day. Either way, choose what you want to believe. Choose a different reason. This is just an explanation for people who are confused. Then let the land produce vegetation. That's in verse 11. Fruits and stuff. Again, I don't have any problem with it. If you do, let me know. It could happen. If you were to have a problem, it would be between light. So for the fruit to grow, you need light. And for the light, you need the sun, but you haven't got the sun till the next day. Again, you could have the argument if the sun was still growing, which would make sense. The background light wouldn't make that much sense, but again, you could probably find a way to make it work. And then the difference between create and appear, that could work. Then you've got the expanse, to separate the expanses of light and darkness, sun and moon. Again, people would have the problem with 230 million years to create, long time, blah, 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 stuff like that. The metaphor of it's not just 24 hours, that makes the most sense. It also works with all the rest of the verses in the story. But again, if you want to believe it, believe it. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm not a Catholic. Sorry to all the Catholics out there, you do kind of get told what to do by the Pope though. Anyway, let the water teem with living creatures and let birds fly across the sky. This is what biologists hate, because it means it just fights with evolution completely. Evolution in this cannot mix, because in evolution it says things start off as blob, things change into bigger blob separates into brilliant creatures. In here that doesn't make sense, because it says, hey, they're all here. So evolution would say blob, 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 different animals. Here it says animals. Bible says just animals, and that makes more sense. It directly contrasts with evolution though. Evolution has its moments of making sense. For example, dinosaur to chicken. If you look it up, genuinely, chicken is the closest relative to a dinosaur. Or T-Rex. Yeah. The Bible makes more sense when all the animals are here. But there are certain, scientific stuff that it fights against. Which is why science and the church have been at war for such a long time. I personally would believe that because the Bible says that everything is there, right then. I thought I was told a few years ago, which again makes sense. God knew evolution was going to happen, adaptation was going to happen. So when he said all the animals are there, he kind of made it like a cake. All the ingredients are there, but not the finished product. You could believe that. I mean, it's a bit far-fetched comparing evolution to a cake, but some people, it just works. We will get into evolution in a different video. It's just I haven't done enough research on it yet. 24. Let the land produce living creatures according to their kind. That's just about reproduction. Wild animals according to its kind. Stuff like that. All just standard stuff. Then God said, "Let us make man in our image, in our likeness, and let them rule over the fish, the sea, the birds, the livestock, over all the earth, and all the creatures that move along the ground." At that point, day 6, we're saying, let's make a guy. Because why not? We are God's chosen and favourite creation. We are made like him. Just like a child is made like their parents. Parents love their children. So, this is one of the brilliant bits of the Bible. We are made in the image of God. We look like God. That's pretty good. Now, some people would turn around and say, hey, everyone looks different. My neighbour Greg and I don't look exactly the same. But one thing you would notice, you all look a little bit like each other. I mean, you've all got arms, eyes, face, hair, stuff like that. This is where a debate with kind of disfigurations, where mental diseases and mental afflictions happen. So stuff like someone with, say, Down syndrome or autism, they're not the same as me. How can we both be made in the image of God? And this has puzzled people for a long, long, long time. I'm not 100% sure. Only God really knows. But the argument is, you all look something like God, and therefore, if you take all of those somethings and put them together, you would get God. But can I just say, no one really knows what God looks like. I mean, we take pictures of Jesus and he's a white male with blonde hair and blue eyes, and quite frankly, that's nowhere close to the truth. I've been to Africa. I wouldn't last there. Neither would Jesus. So, if you did know Jesus, can you just imagine Jesus walking around with sunburnt face the whole time? Not very good for the Son of God. Anyway, off that little tangent. God created man in his own image, the image of God. Man was created. Male and female, he created them. This is where things get a bit weird, because in 27 it said male and female he created them, but a female wasn't made until I think it's until verse 2. Sorry, chapter 2. It's kind of weird. You can get the kind of idea that either this happened in verse 27. So in 27, he made man, he made woman, and then in chapter 2, it just went back and explained it in more detail. Kind of like you do in a book. Something happened, you go back and explain it in more detail. The other option is, God had the idea for them in his mind. So he made man first, though, and he said, okay, I've got this idea of a person who will rule over you and tell you what to do and be an amazing part of your life, aka women, but we're not going to give them to you yet. So, again, you can choose to believe either one. Either one makes sense. Personally, I believe it's the he made them, went forward and went back again, and then went back in chapter 2. But again, I'm not telling you what to believe. Believe what you want. Then, God blessed them and said to them, "Be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it." This, again with the Adam and Eve stuff, is where a lot of people say, hey, so, Adam and Eve, right, they had kids. Number 1, they only had men. Number 2, even if they did have daughters, which we think they did because the Bible's very sexist and doesn't mention, the Old Testament is very sexist and doesn't mention women. It's their fault. How can 2 people have all the people in the world? Aren't we all incest? And that is where you kind of get... If you ask people, they normally just say the same thing. Number one, it doesn't mention women, so the odds are there were some women made who Cain and Abel had sex with and then reproduced. The other thing is they don't mention that more people were created. So, for example, say Dyson, which some of you Americans might not know, but James Dyson is an inventor. He's very famous for his hoovers. So when you go to a news report and someone's writing a report on him, they say, wow, he's made this brand new hoover, and they spend all this focus on the first hoover. They don't really care when that hoover's been remade in different times. They only care about the initial invention, not kind of the production of it. And that's kind of what I believe is the Bible's thing. So, man is created, woman is created. Wow, that's brilliant. We don't really care if more people are created. What makes more sense is that man and woman were created here, and then just more of them were populated over there, because the Bible talked about incest being wrong. You can't in Leviticus it says a whole bunch about sexual immorals and the things are wrong with it, which again, completely different video, which a lot of you will love. There's some really interesting stuff in there, a lot about animals. Anyway, that's again different video. God said, I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face. This in 29, so a bit past where I said we were going to go. It's also where you get the dominion and the stewardship argument. Dominion and stewardship are two different things. Dominion is we have complete control over everything. All the animals, the birds, the fish. We can eat them. They are under our will. Stewardship is we need to care for them because we're the only ones in charge. I personally, I'm a stewardship kind of guy. I believe we need to take care of the animals that we have, because without that, we'd be lonely. Imagine having no dogs and cats and stuff. It just wouldn't be good. But again, my dad believes in dominion, so it really doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, animals are animals, and we've got to... They're our food. Sorry to any vegetarians and vegans out there. Right. So yeah, that's pretty much just creation. In a quick 1 minute recap, light, metaphorical time, doesn't have to be specific time, water separated, earth, seas, then animals are made, then people are made, then land is made, then animals and people are made, and then we get control over everything. I don't know if it makes all complete sense to you. I mean, I've probably rambled on way more than I should, and people will explain it better. But if this is helpful, please let me know. I'm going to keep posting videos anyway, and hopefully by video 3 or 4, this will get a lot better. But for a part, I don't think it's gone that badly. Right, I will see you next time, and God be with you. Bye.